You choose Conor McGregor, but bro.
Fresh from his win against Askren, it seems that Jake Paul's future in boxing is looking bright. The YouTube personality, come actor, come boxer, is in demand. The chance of beating him can easily bring anyone not only money, but renown. Paul made light work of Ben Askren, whom he knocked out during the first round of their jamboree. Now, attention has turned to who he will be up against next, and there is no shortage of potential opponents. In this video, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. Before we talk about his boxing career, let's get to know who Jake Paul is. If you used to watch Vine, or if you're big on YouTube, you must be familiar with Jake Paul. The American actor, YouTuber, model, and now professional boxer got started on Vine. Vine was the precursor for today's TikTok. The American social networking video hosting service allowed users to share their 6-second-long looping video clips. He garnered 1 million followers within the first 5 months. The hilarious videos he posted from time to time drove his fame across the social media platform. However, before he started a career on Vine, he was already a competitive wrestler. He also trained as a Navy SEAL. He had over 5 million followers on Vine by the time it was discontinued. He has more than 20 million subscribers on his self-titled YouTube channel, where he posts comedy sketches, songs, and vlogs. He also has acting credits and was cast as Dirk on Disney Channel's Bizaardvark, Dugan in the Fox digital movie Mono, and Lance in the YouTube Red Original movie Dance Camp. He collaborates frequently with his brother Logan Paul, who's also an internet sensation in his own right. He worked with other social media stars and created Team 10. He signed with management company Shots Studios in 2020. What about his family life? Jake Paul was born to Pam Stepnick and Greg Paul in Cleveland, Ohio in January of 1997. He used to date Elisa Violet, but they broke up in 2017. He and model Erica Costell began dating in April of 2018, but eventually broke up. He was involved in a fake marriage to Tana Mongeau in July 2019. However, the couple announced that they were taking a break in early 2020. He then went on to date Julia Rose. When did Jake Paul start boxing? Paul decided to turn to boxing in 2018. According to Rolling Stone, the true motive behind his decision to turn to pugilism was that he's addicted to the competition and the lifestyle that comes with the sport. He mentioned to the publication that working his ass off and being a professional fighter is possibly the hardest thing anybody could do. If you would like to watch an in-depth series of his transition from a YouTuber to a boxer, you can search for the original series Problem Child. He mentioned to Insider's combat sports correspondent Alan Dawson that he is not fighting to make money. He is fighting because it is something he wants to do and something he loves doing. He's not the first YouTuber to turn to boxing. Several creators have made the transition from YouTube to boxing. British YouTuber Olijai JJ Olatunji, also known as KSI, faced off fellow YouTuber Joe Weller in an amateur match in London in 2018. KSI won the fight and mentioned he'd like to fight Logan Paul next. The match between KSI and Weller drew more than 1 million live viewers. Even Mike Tyson himself admits that boxing has been kept alive by YouTube boxers such as Paul. He even called Paul a God-gifted boxer during a press conference. Jake Paul started boxing in 2018 following his older brother's footsteps. He began his amateur career in 2018 as an undercard in his brother's match against KSI. He fought KSI's younger brother, Dijai Olatunji. They sold out the Manchester Arena in England, and more than 1 million viewers paid $10 to stream the matches live on YouTube. He made his professional boxing debut against Gibb, who has 2 million YouTube subscribers, in Miami in January of 2020. Jake won the match in the first round. He told reporters after the fight that KSI is going to be next. In between his fights, he stayed in the spotlight with his many controversies. According to authorities, he looted a mall in Arizona for a video. This reportedly led to a raid in his Calabasas home. The mayor of Calabasas also criticized him for hosting parties at the height of the global health situation. In July 2020, he drew the ire of people when he mentioned in an interview that he isn't sure if he would stop partying during the situation. In an interview with Insider, he said that he sees a future in boxing. He said that he had to push himself outside of his comfort zone and also had to take a break from partying to train for his boxing match against Robinson. He was running sprints and training hard while his friends were out making music, having fun, and partying in clubs. He said that he sees boxing in his future and is excited about the things it will bring. After 3 years of training, he can certainly do some serious damage to guys who don't know what to do in the boxing ring. However, seasoned strikers are not afraid to pick apart his mistakes. So, what's next for Jake Paul in boxing? Last weekend, the world saw the boxing match that everyone has been talking about. Jake Paul, who has a 3-0 record, faced off with former MMA champion Ben Askren. He is the first legit combat sports athlete to face Paul inside the squared circle. That being said, people think of Askren as the worst striker in the history of MMA. Although he is an Olympic-level wrestler, he was never known for his striking abilities. However, he was more than willing to step in the squared circle with Paul. After his first-round knockout of Askren, Paul just had his first legit boxing victory. However, a win over Askren isn't too much to write about, considering the latter's abilities. After the boxing match, former UFC world champion Tyron Woodley called out Paul, but there seems to be no interest in a match with the former champion. So, who will Paul be fighting next? People might think he's a bumbling idiot, but Paul is very smart, and he's also surrounded by savvy business people. Although he's dedicated himself to boxing, he's not good enough to jump in the ring with legit strikers. He's not going to agree on a risky fight, and that's one thing people must keep in mind. He might be taking on Dillon Danis next. The guy has a 2-0 record in MMA. There has been a ton of verbal back and forth between the two over the last year. Danis is a world champion in jiu-jitsu, but he's more known in boxing. This time, Paul will be facing a legit fighter and someone who's a clear favorite. Unlike Askren, Danis is an active mixed martial artist competing in Bellator. He's no pushover, and he can easily give Paul a run for his money. If Paul were to win that fight, you can expect his chirping to become even louder. He might also be fighting against Joe Fournier. Fournier calls himself a billionaire. The nightclub owner, who used to date heiress Paris Hilton, was away from the ring for years, and his fight with reggaeton artist Raikon marked his return to the ring. Interestingly, he beat Raikon via TKO after 2 rounds in the same event where Paul beat Askren. Fournier was once ranked 11th in the WBA rankings in the light heavyweight division after he turned pro in 2015. At that time, he was the best British fighter on the list. What he has achieved is not bad for a regular lad from Hammersmith who now runs super clubs around the world, including the prestigious Bomboneri in London. His win against Reckon gave him a 9-0 record. The match between him and Paul can be easily sold to the casual observer. There are a lot of people interested in seeing Paul's lights get snuffed out. Fournier has mentioned after his win against Raikon that the next person he wants to get in the ring with is Jake Paul. We'll have to wait and see if this fight translates into reality. He could also be coming up against Conor McGregor. If someone is to blame for what boxing has become, it's no one else but Conor McGregor. Boxing is now littered with publicity stunts, and there's a lack of focus on making the best fight. Everyone remembers how McGregor was part of a $700 million pay-per-view in 2017 when he offered himself as a Mayweather's 50th victim, right before the latter retired from boxing. Although McGregor's expertise in the octagon cannot be questioned, he simply didn't have the expertise to pose a real challenge to whom many considered the best boxer in the world. McGregor is now focused on his next UFC fight. He will be facing Poirier for the 3rd time in July 2021 to settle their unfinished business once and for all. After that fight, he might be ready for one more boxing match to fund his retirement. The only chance of this fight not ever happening is if Paul considers McGregor a real threat. McGregor has skill. The flamboyant Irishman can box, although he may not be on the same level as Mayweather. He has the potential to floor Paul and put a stop to all the noise he's making. What do you think? Will Paul be confident enough to take on McGregor? Or will he be too chicken and look for other lesser fighters whom he can easily beat? Who do you think will make the next opponent for Jake Paul? Let us know in the comments section. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.